All right, welcome back to the Automotive Informants. Zach couldn't be here with us. His computer kind of crashed a little bit, but he may jump on here in a few if he can make it on time. I've got a special guest, Alex Flores, longtime friend, been with the uh, working with him for I don't know when did we first meet? Alex was 2011.
2011, yes, sir. The year I got married, my friend.
Was man that's
Yes,
2011. That's
yes,
been a
sir.
long time. So
15 years ago.
15 years. It's been some time, but
Yes.
Alex has agreed to join us. We're gonna talk about some cool headlines. Well, some maybe some a little slightly controversial headlines, and the idea is when what is the noise? Is it just noise, or how can we learn from it as operators? Can we get better, or is it a sign that maybe we need to do something different? But I know I joke a little bit about that, but one of the headlines, Alex, is that I was looking through. It was on Automotive News, and it ranked the top used car retailers.
Mm.
And what's interesting about it is they are only reporting the new car franchises, which I understand it's their new car franchises, but they wanted to showcase the top used car retailers. So when I read that, I think instinctively you're going to have the top used car retailers like CarMax, even Carvana, and so they didn't include them on the list. So why do
Mm.
you think they don't include them on the list?
I guess I don't consider them part of the auto industry, ironically, because I mean, which is doesn't make any sense because they are, right? And they're definitely eating our lunch in so many ways. If we want to be honest and we want to really see things for what they really are, but for whatever reason, I don't know the real reason, to be honest with you, Chris. But I would imagine that they're definitely a big part of the industry for sure.
Yeah, and what's interesting is CarMax, when they first started, they had new car franchises. And I
That's
remember
right.
I worked there in 2003 up until about 2008 or nine. I forget the exact year, but you would think they would include them. And Carvana, they just recently bought, I think, their seventh Chrysler store. You'd think they'd be on that list, but for whatever reason, they didn't put them on there. Uh, and coincidentally, they didn't even put Hertz. And Hertz, they sell like 200,000 cars. They retail 200,000 cars a year as well.
Wow.
And so, and I should have probably put that on that. I recently posted it and shared it. Got a huge response from it. Some negative, some positive. Some of the people, I guess I could read some of those negative ones, but we can leave that for a later time. But Lithia, they did amazing. They did 435,000 vehicles, but CarMax did 800,000 vehicles, and Carvana did 400,000. So Carvana would have been third place realistically, to Lithia being number two spot, and CarMax 800,000. What do you think?
Man, I think again they're eating our lunch, man. I think they're making it transparent for the guests. They're making it efficient. They're making it convenient, and we're complicating things. Again, I always tell people that we're not competing against the mom and pop store down the street. We're not competing against ABC Toyota or John Smith Chevrolet. We're competing against, at least for me, my team. We're competing against Amazon, we're competing against Uber Eats, and we're most certainly competing against CarMax and Carvana because they're making it so easy. They're giving the guests a way to buy that makes it so easy and convenient. And the reality is, they're paying more money. Just like when you do Uber Eats, it blows my mind when I see these kids that order Uber Eats. I'm like, man, how much was that? It's a Chipotle bowl, and it'll be $25. I'm like, bro, you could have went and got it for like $10. You know that, right? Yeah, but it's convenient. I don't have to leave work. They bring it to me. So I think that's why people are doing that. That's why people are going to CarMax because regardless of the price, regardless of whatever, they feel like at least I know that the price they give me is going to be the actual price. There's not going to be any addendums. There's not going to be any surprises. At least I know that I might not get exactly what I want for my trade, but I don't have to go back and forth and just playing games and I can just get everything. They're getting the virtual retailing experience that they're looking for, that for whatever reason, we car dealers are having a really hard time being able to deliver it 100%.
Right. And I think you're right about that. But I also think it's, from a strategy standpoint, there's a reason why a CarMax can get built in your market and all of a sudden have like, you know, 400 used cars on their lot, because they don't just like randomly pick used cars. They're looking at the marketplace and seeing what's that void. Okay. So you
Mm,
can look at, I guarantee you, you can point me to any city in the country today, and I can tell you which vehicles that literally are missing in that marketplace, and show you how I could fill up a store with 300 used and dominate that marketplace. Because you'll see a lot of used car managers, they'll only buy their brand or not enough of their brand, right? Like, I'll give you an example. I had a competing dealer I was working at, and realized that their Land Rover dealer didn't have any used cars in stock, or the Lexus
mm,
store didn't have any Lexuses in stock. And guess what I did? I I filled up my used car lot with those models, and we turned them, and we priced them accordingly, and moved them. And so I think about all of those little opportunities there, that you're just your used car department's asleep at the wheel. They're not really sourcing them appropriately. They don't have a real strategy, a real plan. They kind of just wing it and just take in trades, and that's it. They're not really trying to grow their business. And there's a lot of those people, right? And in addition to that, I think that there's uh, used car dealers that don't put the right money in the cars. They're trying to hold from the new car department, instead of just putting the right money in them to try to make every trade. Because how
mm.
many times have you been in a store and they're like, oh, that's not, we don't want to buy that car. And that's not the mindset. Your mindset should be, I want to buy all of them, because if I can make money at wholesale, then I can make money there too. So it happens more often than you think. And it's interesting when you see that, they're trying to hold on trades, and the customer leaves the building, and they're still think they're holding, and they're losing customers.
100%. No, that's 100%. It's just I always tell people that you don't make money when you sell the car. You make money when you buy the car. And to your point, and that's one thing that you and I experienced together when we worked together. You did an outstanding job. Making sure that our merchandise was on point, and also our strategy with pricing. And that makes a big difference, because it's going to bring you the leads, going to bring you the opportunities, and you combine that with a strong sales force and good culture, and then of course transparency that I talked about earlier, and then it's a recipe for 100% success. And I know that that's without a doubt. And you, with your experience, being that you worked at CarMax, you had that mindset of, hey, let's take every trade, let's buy every car, let's not be scared. We don't care if it's an older car, there's somebody looking for an older car, or hey, it's an expensive Mercedes Benz, somebody's looking for that as well. And next thing you know, we've got this mix of vehicles that is just catering to everyone. You could have somebody that comes in with their work clothes and they got paint all over their pants, or you could have somebody come in with a Brioni suit looking for a vehicle, a G wagon or something. So there's definitely, I think, that mindset of, hey, let's just stick to what we know. That's probably one of the most dangerous statements to make, because it's probably what you're saying is, I'm not willing to get more money and more revenue from my business, because I just want to deal with what I know. I'm not willing to learn new things.
Yeah, it's funny because some people, they have that mentality where like they stick their head in the sand and like, wow, the prices are too expensive. Like, I'll give you an example. Remember when we were at that Toyota store in Austin? And just for background, Alex was with us, and we worked together, and we took the store from 50 used cars a month to over 500 used cars a month. Did an amazing job. I think, those were some of the most exciting times when I was in on the floor and helping sell cars. But what I think about those days, that some of these dealers, like the Honda store down the street, basically just stopped buying cars. And I remember when I heard that, and I remember thinking like, man, because he said that the auction prices were too expensive. And so
Mm,
they were just only going to focus in on trades, but then they didn't have a strategy to acquire more cars. So there's a lot of those people that just don't want to compete. And so they make it easier for people like ourselves to go after the market and just completely take over. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? Like
Oh,
there's that
absolutely.
those stores that say, man, it's too expensive. How do we compete and this and that? Instead of, hey, let's come up with a plan and educate ourselves and attack.
Is that why they say that scared money doesn't make money? When you're being too conservative, and that's one thing that I think I learned a long time ago, Chris. When I really started understanding used cars and how it works, is that when you're appraising a car, when you're looking at a vehicle, you can't always think of like what V Auto says or this says or that says. You have to think of, hey, what can we retail this vehicle for, based on the market, based on the demand in the market, based on the merchandise. What can we retail it for? And a lot of the times we did that, right? And then sometimes, yeah, you might be a little deep in one, right? But then you figure out how to make more, get more money down, and you get out of the car and you end up making money on it. So it's just, it's work. It's not easy. I mean, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. If you could just get on your computer and click 10 times and have 10 amazing used cars in your lot that you're guaranteed to make $5,000 after reconditioning, well, shoot, that would be amazing, right? But that's not the case nowadays. Nowadays, you have to really be paying attention. And that's what's really, I walked into this new opportunity here with 60 vehicles over 60 days old. I walked into an average selling price of $35,000. I walked into a store that where the profit of the used cars was about $1,200 because they just had so much old stuff and they were just trying to get out of holes. And within 60 days, we had one vehicle over 60. Our per copy is almost at 4,000 a copy. Our average vehicle is $27,000. And it's all the things we're talking about. It's just being disciplined, merchandising. We review every appraisal every day. We also look at missed opportunities. We have a buying center now that we're growing. We just hired a new person. So doing all the things that CarMax and Carvana are doing that we need to learn from. So I think that's a great article to read and to be able to be humble and say, hey, maybe they're doing some things right. I know that we probably have more experience when it comes to the sales part, the follow up, the asking for the business, all that stuff. I'm pretty sure we're better than they are, but they are also winning because they're doing some things that we are terrible at, and we should learn from that.
Yeah, well, and then you've got to think, um, was it maybe 10 years ago or even 15 years ago? I remember a lot of dealers, anytime a CarMax um, store went into the market, a lot of dealers would send those customers to them. So now they already have that free advertising that dealers were just saying, hey, well, why don't you compare us to their trade appraisal and things like that. So
Mm,
now I remember when I used to work there on a Saturday, we would have like 400 people come in just to appraise their car. Like
mm.
it was crazy. And and they could learn a lot from, the traditional side on how to actually, you know, talk to those people, convert them, things like that because
Yeah,
there
they're
was a
just
lot
sitting
of
there praising cars. They're not
that's it.
even asking to. We would never do that.
So like there's a lot of that, but this leads me into the next segue, and it's off of the same topic, and it's CarMax and Carvana and all of these people. Just recently, everybody, I was looking at all the quarterly statements and all the financials came out this for the first quarter, and I was looking at Lithia, I was looking at all of the major dealer groups, and I was thinking, okay, so what does that look like? And I started, I have it up right here, and so Q1 Carvana actually crushed everybody. I mean, it was $405 million in net profit. Penske came in at 234 million, so like doubled them. CarMax, I mean, they just got crushed, right? They did 210 million. And I know some people are saying, well, they had a write down and this and that, but still at the end of the day, this is your first quarter of the year, and this is they came in at $405 million in net profit. But the real thing that I wanted to point out was Lithia came in at 102 million in net profit, and they outsold Carvana. Carvana was they did 187,000 uh, retail units, and Lithia did 204,000 retail units, except they did four times the amount of net profit. So Lithia came in at 102 million net profit. Carvana came in at 405 million. What do you think on that execution, sir?
I mean, going back to what we're talking about, man, that people will pay more for the convenience. People will pay more when we're up front. And also to your point, like they're being strategic, man. They're not just buying cars based off emotions. I think a lot of the times that happens, like you said earlier, oh, this is the brand that I'm used to. This is the brand I like. Man, I love Silverados. Man, my dog's name is Chevy. I'm gonna pay all the money for Chevys, right? So, hey, that might be the case, but maybe this vehicle is not doing good in my market. Do I know that? It's education, Chris. Is all it is. It's being
It is.
educated. It's being educated, and nowadays you can't be that OG used car guy that hey, don't worry about it. I know what a car's worth. Yeah, you might know what a car's worth, but do you know what a car is selling in your market? Do you know what a car is taking to sell in your market days wise, right? Do you know all these things, the demand of the public in your area, right? So I think nowadays what it boils down to, if you want to be profitable, if you want to be able to compete with these people, which I think is going to take us a while to catch up to these guys because they're way ahead of the game. It's going to have to take people understanding that education is very that's why you have all these young kids that are joining the car business with college education, and they put them in these buying centers, and they're doing amazing because they're sitting there studying just like you would study the stock market. If you were a day trader, I can't go in there and make 10 grand today on the stock market because I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. But someone who's looking at every single day and knows what's happening and what this means and what that means and this drop and this racing, then they know, okay, time to buy right now or time to sell. And same with people that are taking the time to be educated rather than just say, hey, we need cars. I mean, think about how many dealerships are saying that right now. Hey, we need used cars. And somebody's going to go in the computer today and buy 15 vehicles, and they're even going to get a good job. They're going to get, hey, great job. You bought 15 vehicles. Man, thank you so much. We needed that. Not realizing that out of those 15 cars, 10 we do not need and are going to sit in our lot for 60 days, and we're going to end up losing 20 grand at the auction. Does that sound familiar? I mean, great job, but great job though. It's
What's
true.
funny is I had a buyer one year, and I won't tell you who, but I remember him buying this Kia Soul, I think it was, um, and it was like green or I don't know what color. It was just the everything about this car was wrong.
Yeah,
And I looked at him and I was like, "Hey, walk me through how you came to the reasoning behind buying this car. Like, what went through your mind? Good like Monday supply. What was it like? Why did you say this vehicle?" And his exact words, and I quote, he said, "Well, Chris, it looked cute." And I looked at him and I'm just like, man, like it's unbelievable that people there's buyers out there that truly buy like that instead of having the analysis, the right information to make it like really good decisions to say, you know what, I'm going to buy this car because I know it's
mm,
going to turn a profit. I know it's not going to sit on the lot forever. And we're here to make money, right? Like that's the whole purpose of buying car, not because they look cute, not because you um, like the car, it's a good color. I'm all for the right cars, good color, as long as it's moving fast and I know it's going to make money. Like
that's
that's
right.
at the end of the day, those are the decisions you need to be making on, not hey, it look cute.
Think about if you were going to open a restaurant and you went to the bank and you got a loan and it was going to be your business, your family savings. You wouldn't just invest in any location. You wouldn't invest paperwork.
100%. I think you're breaking up a little bit, Alex. Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I think what happens is most people don't don't understand that CarMax and Carvana are actually playing a little bit different game. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So, and it's good to understand this because I think a lot of people don't really understand and I know some people say, well, they got their own banks and their own financing. Okay, what does that mean? And let me tell you what that means specifically. So, when I was at CarMax, if you decided to price a car for 29.9, guess what? The bank is going to finance that full amount. Their banks will do it. They have CarMax Auto Finance. They have all their master agreements with these other lenders like Wells Fargo, Ally, all of those, and they'll finance that price that they put on the car. Whereas you or me, if we have we're trying to sell a car and to get the financing, the bank's only going to loan, and your book value is 25 grand. Guess what? You got to finance 110% of book trade-in value, not what you're selling it for. You know what I'm saying? And CarMax and Carvana are playing at that a different game in that regard. So they can price what they want on that car. The banks are going to loan off that. So for you and me, it'll be 180% advance or some ridiculous advance like that. But for them, it's okay. The bank will lend it, and it's just completely different because they've got those standardized master agreements because they've got 230 locations now, and they've got that buying power, and they have that weight where they can literally just price these cars however they want. And of course they've got 100%. Like we're like you'll hear it all the time. Hey, how are they putting so much money into these cars? Well, because they don't. If you're buried in a car and you own the car 109% price to market or cost to market, you're more than likely going to take a bath if you try to sell it because the lender's going to cut you back to 110, 120, and the customer only has 500 down or 1,000 down, and your advance is still out of whack. You're either going to make a decision to cut that deal, or don't sell that car. And you know what that happens, right? That your first loss is your best loss, because what ends up happening is you end up you say no to the deal, and then that thing sits on your lot for another 100 days. You know, but I think about that, and but 405 million in net profit, they're doing something right. You know what I'm saying? To out, yeah. And I had another customer, or not another comment on that post that I did, and they basically saying, "Hey, look, we'll see what it looks like when that paper starts maturing, and if there's any repos and stuff. We'll see what that looks like." I don't know. I think Carvana with their new car business, and only time will tell what that's going to look like. But all those stores that they're selling new cars out of apparently are have gone through the roof. They're selling a bunch of new cars. I don't know if you've run into that yet. I don't know. I don't even know where the locations are at. I know you're over there in Tampa, so I don't. Do you guys have a Carvana nearby your store, or is it a little wide away? Okay. And a vending machine. Well, here's another one that just came out. With these new, because one of the comments that one of the guys said, the reason why the new car franchise dealers weren't really focused these last couple years on used cars and allowed CarMax and Carvana to kind of continue to just take their market share was because they were making so much more money in new cars. Like, so their whole focus was, hey, I'm just going to keep focusing on those new cars. And for me, I felt like that was probably the wrong angle to look at it from, because I mean, inventory's been super tight on new cars. Yes, you can make more money. There was a period where you're making a lot of money on new, but you didn't have that inventory. So it was, to be focused so much on inventory that was tight. I know for when I was at Mercedes specifically, I mean, there was a point where we had just, 20, 30 cars on the lot. And when we normally would have like 300 cars, you know what I'm saying? So what do you say to things like that? Yeah. Well, even so, the tariffs played a big part on that last couple of years, right? So there went your incentivized money, because now they got to pay for these tariffs. And so, but here's the thing, like, so we had that challenge, or that period where everybody was all in on EVs. And this recent article that just came out, Honda from Automotive News on this one as well, was saying that they're actually, because they took a $15.8 billion write down on those whole EV things, they're actually now going to push back the redesigns. So normally it's refresh redesigns, usually 5 to 7 years. Now they're holding on up to 13 years. What do you think about that? Do you think that's just an isolated incident? Because keep in mind, every OEM so far has come out that they've lost. I mean, I think total is like over $100 billion in losses for these EVs, because now they're switching everything over to hybrids. Wow. I mean, but that was really the only way to sell them, right? Only way. I mean, believe me, that same thing happened with me at Mercedes. I mean, there was a period with losing 20, 30 grand from a dealer level was like that was the only way you're going to move them. Like that was terrible. I never lost money like that in my life. And to move that inventory, you had to make some tough decisions. I drive a Tesla, sir, and I'll tell you that, that full self-driving, it's amazing. Like I don't know why every manufacturer is not moving towards that. And I know a lot of them are starting to move. Hyundai announced something. Cadillac announced that they're going to be doing like autonomous driving. And I know Rivian just announced. So it's definitely going towards that direction with some of these manufacturers. But reality is, until you truly experience it, everywhere I go, I'm on self driving. Like it's just really the easiest thing, best thing for me specifically because I'm not that type of person that likes to drive. But when it's just driving for you, like it's an experience. Anywhere you go. Like I didn't understand it till I owned the car, and it drives me everywhere. Like it parks for me. I mean, it's like to me. I tell everybody. Do you remember Blackberries? You used to have a Blackberry, right? Well, before iPhone came out, everybody had a BlackBerry, right? And then once the iPhone came out, there was still a period where people were like, I like the keyboard. I don't want a touch screen. I was one of those people. But now I truly believe Tesla is the iPhone and everyone else is in a BlackBerry. And so until you truly drive it and understand like I don't even have to park. It looks for a parking space for me. It just parks. I mean, it's pretty amazing. You know what I'm saying? You gotta try it. But real quick, to getting back to this Honda thing, you know what happened with Infinity? There was a period where I mean that QX80 was like the same model forever, and kind of to me in my mind and my experience, because I was at an Infinity store at one point, I felt like that kind of hurt the brand. Honda announcing that they're doing that. Do you think any of these other manufacturers may move towards that because of all these write downs that they had to do? Absolutely. I mean, over $100 billion in losses across all the OEMs. I mean, wasn't unique to Honda. It was General Motors, Ford. I mean, Ford, what they lose like 20 billion on the Lightning. It's every manufacturer. Porsche came out saying they lost some money. It was a lot, and I think we're not even seeing all of it at this point. I think there's still some that are going to come announcing at some point, but they don't talk. They talk about the OEM level, how much was lost. They don't talk about from the dealer level how much was lost, and I think that's the part that they're missing. And one more before we go is the loyalty. You kind of hinted at that. Tesla recent loyalty rates. For the beginning part of the year came out and said that Tesla was 61.1% brand loyalty, and that was number one across all OEMs. Which was at 15.5% loyalty, and just showing you the ones that had the least loyalty. So I saw Dodge at 15%, Chrysler 21%, Infinity 31%. Ram 38%. And so when you look at all these brands out there, what do you think? Why do you think Tesla has such a higher one? Because even Toyota, I mean, they're still good at 59%. Subaru was at 60%, but Tesla being up there at 61%. Why do you think? And they don't have that many models. Why do you think there's such brand loyalty there? Well, I'll tell you, there was so when I bought my Tesla, it was interesting because I did everything online, and it wasn't until I went in to pick up the vehicle that I was like, man, where's all my paperwork at? Like I couldn't, like I was like, well, I don't have to go to finance. There was like nothing, and I literally signed 2 documents and I was done, right? And I remember thinking like, man, that was weird. Like I didn't even see any paperwork or anything because I had done the credit app online. I did the whole information online, and because there's a lot of digital signatures you do when you go in there, you just had to sign 2 documents, and that was it. And so then I heard a story later on, and what happened was, so Elon Musk, when he first started, they were first starting to look at contracting and all that. He asked how many clicks does it take to buy a Domino's pizza? And the CEO or president of the time said he did it and it was 11 clicks, right? Or 10 clicks. And he goes, how many clicks does it take to buy a Tesla right now? And he said it was like 44 or something like that. And so he said, but guess what? Most of it is due to the contract, the retail installment contract. There's like, I don't know, 40 signatures or 30 signatures that you actually have to fill out. But they did some research and they don't really even need all those signatures. It's just because over time, and some offices that over time they want a million different signatures because of this XYZ. But in reality, you didn't really need that many. So he was able to reduce the amount of clicks it took to actually buy a car. And now it's such a seamless process that you didn't even realize you bought the car. Like I really literally didn't know that I was done. All I had to do was pick up the car. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. But it's some ways to relook at your current process and think, okay, how can I remove some of this friction so that we can have a better experience? Because what ends up happening, why do a lot of people go back to CarMax and why does a lot of people go and stay at the Tesla? Because they have removed that friction. So when they do make that decision, if you can make it easier for them, they're going to remember that and want to come back. And I think that's some food for thought. As we close up, Alex, could you tie this all into a nice bow and say, all right, this is what dealers really need to focus on? Like, is this a lot of this just refresher? Is this what's the takeaway with all these points that we kind of went through today? Well, I definitely agree with you on what you just said, because even look at what CarMax, what happened to them, right? Like all of a sudden Carvana came out of nowhere and started being a real contender for them, and so much so that they lost their CarMax had to fire their current president, and now they just hired a new one, and they've had to do a whole new restructuring on advertising strategy, all of it, because their stock is tank. And Carvana, if you added all the major dealer groups in the country today, the top 5, and included CarMax in that, Carvana's market cap is greater than all of those combined, which is kind of interesting. But as always, Alex, it's great talking with you. Always good catching up. I think you guys are doing an amazing thing out there in Tampa. I love what you're doing online and seeing how you motivate your team. As always, you've been that leader that I admire, and I like how you continue to keep pushing yourself and your team to new heights. And let's do it again next time. But to my audience, thank you for jumping on. Until next week, every week we go through the headlines so you don't have to, and we kind of help you walk through how you can deploy these strategies into your business. So until next time. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. You guys have a good one.